Hello, welcome to Color Art Emotion and to this step-by-step urban sketching video. Today we will be sketching a wonderful sunny scene from Stockholm, and as you can tell, Stockholm is an amazing city during summertime. This is a place in Stockholm where people like to hang out, to relax close to the water and enjoy the summer breeze. I will add a link to my reference photo in the description below the video, so be sure to check it out. Here you can see a few scene analyses to help us better understand the subject. Now, let's start with the sketching part of urban sketching. Usually, I start with a basic pencil sketch. This time I am using a watercolor pencil, so it will dissolve in water. And by basic sketch, I mean a simple sketch, without details, where we focus on figuring out the proportions and the composition. This is a horizontal composition with a few vertical accents, having nice buildings in the background that are close to the water side and to the ferry place. As areas of interest, I thought of having in focus the boat on the lower right side and the copper tower on the higher left side. I think that together they will create a diagonal direction in the composition. This, of course, is a two-point perspective, but we mostly see one side of the buildings, and that side converges to a vanishing point far away to the right. The platform or the deck has a nice rounded form and it is actually U-shaped. An easy way to sketch it is by fitting it into a low cylinder. Complicated volumes are always easier to sketch if you try to fit them into simple volumes like boxes, pyramids, or cylinders. The proportions are easier to figure out if you try to identify the different actors of the scene and fit them in a simple shape. One actor is the water in the foreground, and we can fit it into a cylinder. Another actor consists of the buildings in the background, and we can fit them into a basic rectangle or trapezoid shape. In between these two, we have another actor, that is the pedestrian side and the street area. Its shape is just the remaining shape between the first two. And, of course, we have to mention another actor, the sky. These actors are also called the foreground, the middle ground, and the background. In the next step of sketching, the inking with the fountain pen, we actually identify even smaller actors. Every actor that we mentioned before is composed of smaller parts. The rectangular shape of the buildings in the background is actually composed of different building units. The water area is also composed of smaller parts, the boats, the small waves, and maybe even the reflections, because they have their own character. The pedestrian and street areas have also different parts, the small kiosk, the benches, the trees, the cars, and so on. So, in this inking step, I am breaking down the scene into its different smaller parts and suggesting a few details, like windows, chimneys, or the flags waving around, a few street elements, a few water elements, and so on. The two diagonally placed focus areas deserve a bit more attention, so I am more careful with their proportions and I try to suggest a few more details. If you are enjoying this video and also love urban sketching and watercolor painting, consider subscribing to my channel, liking this video and maybe sharing it with a friend. It helps me a lot and I appreciate it very much. I think urban sketching is very different for every person. I like it because it is a very permissive style. There aren't any strict rules that you have to follow or any strict art supply that you have to use. It is a bit different from watercolor painting because, in my opinion, urban sketching is more about quick washes of watercolor that help in telling more about the scene and the story and help us to quickly visualize. I started with the sky, with cobalt blue and a bit of French ultramarine. It is not a perfect gradient wash. I am just adding colors here and there and let them move around. Then, I tried to clean the graphite watercolor pencil. That was our initial sketch. So, here I am starting to add watercolor washes on the buildings in the background. I'm working wet on dry, with simple light washes. I started with raw sienna, and I paint using small brush strokes, covering most of the area but also leaving a few white spots. These white spots will become like sparkles at the end, and they will also give a bit of more interest to the texture. When moving to the next building, I tried to change the color a bit, or maybe better said, the lightness of the color, because it is still raw sienna. As I paint the further away buildings, I also add a little bit of ultramarine just to make the grey a slightly different shade. I continue with adding a few shadows on the foreground elements, and this helps me to better read the volumes and the depth in the sketch. Then I move to the roofs and I paint them with a mix of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, sometimes adding more blue and sometimes adding more brown. It's kinda how you feel on the moment, but also looking a bit at the reference photo. In Stockholm, many of these awnings are either dark green or dark grey, so I'm suggesting the color a bit and also the green shadow under them. Now, moving to one of our areas of interest, the copper roof on the top left. I'm using sap green together with cobalt turquoise and cobalt blue. I'm painting it with many small brush strokes and not with one big stroke. I guess this is a personal style. I also add a bit of white gouache. It will give an opaque texture that I feel would work fine here. And as you can see, I sometimes take a bit more blue and paint a small area, then a bit more green and paint another small area. This creates a diverse texture and gives a certain vibrancy to the sketch. I also add a warm color on the green roof, because in some areas of the roof there is some rust, and rust has a brown color, but in the afternoon light it seems to be more yellow. This video is speeded up a bit, but not too much, it is close to the real speed, so you can see more details of the process. I really hope it helps. Please let me know. Painting the roof of the small kiosk on the left. There you can find hot dogs, coffee, ice cream, and other good and bad stuff. There are always many people around small shops like this one. They actually help a lot in creating the atmosphere of the place. Everybody likes to chit-chat with their friends and have a snack. Now, coming back to the buildings in the background. Suggesting the small awnings above the windows, some of them are blue, some of them are red. These buildings are very nice hotels in Stockholm. Actually, the entire area is very exquisite. And every hotel wants to be different than the one next door, and also wants to impress their guests with their beauty and character. The buildings in the scene were built in the 19th century. At that time, Sweden was ascending a lot. And as many things were going well in the country, they wanted that its capital, Stockholm, to become a very charming and beautiful city that could compete in beauty with other European cities. It was also the time of the 1900 International Paris Exposition. At that time, there were many urban development plans in the city, and one of them was to build this grand public waterway having trees in the middle, a bit like the Diagonal Avenue from Barcelona, that was constructed in the same period. So these trees that you see in the right of the picture are the beginning of this green avenue along the waterway. Here I am painting the boat on the right. The red line gives the specific character of this boat. Also darkening the inside of the boat, as this is a bit in shadow. Now, suggesting the water in the foreground. This area is mostly painted wet on wet, with different blues, but also green and brown, as some elements are being reflected. After the watercolor wash is dried, I come back with a fountain pen and with waterproof ink to add a few dark accents that increase the contrast. I am using a Duke Fude fountain pen, and in the description below the video you can find more details about the model. I am still getting used to this pen. It is actually my new pen, and I like it a lot. I really wanted to sketch with it because it is a very expressive fountain pen that can create both very thin and very wide strokes, but it takes some time to get used to its weight. And also adding some white accents, little sparkles around the sketch that make the eyes move around. here is the final sketch. It was very fun to make it. I hope that I inspired you to create your own watercolor sketches and also that you got a few tips from this video, both for sketching and for painting. I try to include the entire process in my videos, so both sketching and painting. That's why the videos are quite long. If you enjoyed this video and also love urban sketching and watercolor painting, consider subscribing to my channel, liking this video and maybe sharing it with a friend. It helps me a lot and I appreciate it very much. I will do my best to create nice videos for you. And if you have any questions, write them in a comment below and I will get back to you. Until next week's video, check out these ones over here. Also, take care and have a great day.